This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
Hello, hello. Hello, all. Hello.
Hey guys.
Hey, guys. Awesome. People are slowly starting to join.
Yeah, everybody. Hey, Kenton. Hello, all.
Hey, Mark. Hey, Ev.
We got Halvor also here, I see.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not
I'm
sure
direct.
how to pronounce it.
Yeah,
Is
you
that
good?
the way? Is that the right way to pronounce it? Halvor?
Yeah.
Halvor. Okay, good to know. Just gonna note that.
Yeah.
All right.
We also got Jacob. Actually, that's the number 9 in here. I see he's also a Moria USD dev.
Right.
Bring him up. Just request to speak, and I'm sure.
Yeah.
Sure, we can make it happen.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
We can.
Brilliant. Okay. All right. I always am a bit sus about the web version of Twitter Spaces. You know, Twitter Spaces is not the most reliable, and then you mix in the web browser, it gets even worse. But I prefer to use it if I can. So
Yeah. Completely.
Can you hear me,
understand what
guys?
you mean. We can.
Perfect.
Hello, sir. All right. I do believe we have all the speakers now, don't we? Seems so.
I think so.
All right. Well, first of all, welcome everyone to this space where we are bringing in some forces within the Bitcoin Cash, THORChain, and Rujira ecosystem, everyone. I'm Nick, by the way, from WACME. I'm going to be your host today, but primarily it's going to be Mark from Denmark who's going to act as the moderator. So why don't I just give a short intro and then we can start deep diving. So with all the recent developments in Rujira, it's quite exciting to see actually the Bitcoin Cash community finally having true DeFi using native BCH. But before we dive into all that, perhaps a good way to kick it up is to talk some general updates on what's happening inside Bitcoin Cash, THORChain, and Rujira ecos. And naturally, a round of introductions to all the speakers here today. I think that is a good way to kick us off. So, Jeremy or Halvor, would you like just to go ahead, give a short intro, and just then pass on the baton to the speakers that we have on the space today?
yeah, for sure. So I'm Jeremy. I'm the host of the Bitcoin Cash podcast. I've been in Bitcoin since 2013 and loved BCH a lot more, let's say, ever since the split. So still loving being here in 2025. I also work as a dev for Selene Wallet, which is an open source BCH only mobile wallet. Although I think we have actually talked about it's in our backlog somewhere to look into doing maybe like a side shift or a THORChain integration, you know, so that people could either farm yield or get the other coins sent in. So that's it. And I also run a conference called BCH Bliss, which is in May each year to celebrate the Bitcoin Cash network upgrade. And we have the 2026 upgrade currently in discussion. So that's one of the biggest things going on in BCH right now, which maybe we can discuss a bit more about. But that's the long and short of it. That's it for me.
Yeah, Blaze is lit. Mark Kenton, you guys should come there next year. My intro, my name is Halvor. I'm a rock engineer from Norway. I co-founded MUSD and Cauldron, the world's fastest decks. And yeah, we love casting spells.
I guess I'll go next. I'm Patriot Sounds. I've been with THORChain since 2020. Educator, content creator. Love THORChain. Love permissionless. Love no KYC. Real name's Denny. Nice to meet you all. I followed everyone on stage. I'll go ahead and kick it to Kenton.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kenton Ralph Toes. I have a fund, the Yusha Rune Fund, that is dedicated to buying Rune and running nodes on THORChain. So I'm a node operator and bond provider on THORChain. And I co-host the weekly THORChain podcast with Patriot Sounds.
I guess I can pick it up from there. So I'm Mark, sitting here in Denmark, and I'm heading up the Rujira team. The app there really provides full DeFi experiences to all the different chains that connects to THORChain, including Bitcoin Cash, which is what I'm very excited to talk about today. I have a question, though, before we dive into any of that. And that's for you, Kenton. When Rune Treasury, with all these different treasury companies out there, we want a Rune Treasury. When is that happening, my friend?
Actually, it's funny. I'm using that as part of my pitch to raise money from institutional investors. That I'm quite sure I'm the only fund. I'm the only legal entity in the world doing this with Rune, and maybe one day my fund could be converted into a Rune treasury company and take it public. So basically, you want to have a stockpile of tokens, that's already aggregated into a vehicle, right? And especially if I can raise 8 figures from some institutional investors to buy some more Rune, I could have a nice little chunk in my fund, and it'd be a perfect vehicle to turn into a treasury company. But I mean, be realistic, guys. Like, Rune's got to get into the top 20, top 10. It doesn't right now. No one's going to care about a Rune treasury company. But if THORChain becomes the biggest exchange in the world, which is what we are trying to do, then yeah, why not? Let's do it. Let's try.
There you go.
Yep.
There you go. I think we have a Fendish also here. Let's bring him up first, and then maybe this is obviously a hybrid between the Bitcoin Cash community and the THORChain/Rujira community. So maybe you guys on the Bitcoin Cash side can give a bit of an update of what's happening in Bitcoin Cash and the protocol, etc. And then maybe you, Danny, or Kenton, give an update on the THORChain side, and I'm happy obviously to give on the Appler side. But let's just get an intro of Fendish first.
Everyone, thanks for having me here. Yeah, so I'm Fiendish, founder of the Reddit site Cash Tokens and Telegram group, and host the Fiendish and Friends podcast, and have also been hosting Bitcoin Cash conferences such as the one in the Caribbean in 2022, pushing for legal tender there. And yeah, I'm a massive believer in P2P Cash and freedom and liberty. And I'm especially excited about separating money from the states, which is why I've been really attracted and a staunch advocate of Bitcoin Cash. A bit later to the scene in BCH, joined in 2021 at a point where I thought, that this community could really do some help because the mission is critical and it cannot fail. To create sound money that we get spread out across the world. So that's where I'm at right now, and glad that we're having this conversation.
Yeah, I think you were breaking up a bit at the end there, but maybe let's bring it over to Jeremy or someone else from the Bitcoin Cash community. What's happening over there? There's a bunch of THORChain and Rujira community members here. They might not be super plugged into what's happening within Bitcoin Cash, so maybe you guys can give a bit of an update on what's going on over there.
Yeah, so it's been, kind of the last chain split. BCH was famously sort of involved in these civil wars from with BTC in 2017, and then with BSV in 2018, and then with XEC in 2020, right? So it was having this very rocky period of time several years ago, and that still lingers in a lot of people's mind. But the fact is, it's now 2025, and so a huge amount has changed in that last 5 years. The community have shipped an upgrade every single year without, any kind of contention or anything like that, which includes the block size limit which was the cause of the original concern, being changed to algorithmic, and several other upgrades with cash tokens, VM limits, native introspection, so 22, 23, and 25, adding a lot of script power and programmability. So I would very confidently say that Bitcoin Cash has now by far the best DeFi scripting potential of any UTXO chain. For people who don't know, Ethereum and similar chains are EVM chains, and BCH is like BTC or Litecoin or Dogecoin as a UTXO chain. But I think BCH is probably the only coin that is heavily establishing itself as a UTXO DeFi combination, and we can talk about why that's important. But the BCH community is really gaining momentum in that area, and that's hopefully going to continue with the 2026 upgrade, which will lock in November of this year and then go live in May. And that one looks like there'll be even further upgrades to the pay to script to add loops, and also bitwise math are looking like the most highest potential things to be included at this stage. And as a result of all that development at the protocol level, which is obviously very exciting to cryptocurrency tech nerds like myself, but to end users, that doesn't necessarily move the needle that much. What is happening now is the DeFi ecosystem is filtering up through the tooling into the wallets and apps that are being built. So Harva can speak a bit more about that. But for instance, we have Cauldron Dex, which anybody can go and try at cauldron.quest, which is the world's fastest DEX. It blows away the experience on any other DEX probably that you've been on, hopefully. Maybe not THORChain, I don't know, but certainly anything like Uniswap or whatever. And then also they've now launched a stable coin called Moria USD, which is really starting to catch fire as well, and would be one of the things that we would love to see get integrated onto THORChain as well too. And that's from the cash tokens upgrades. So there's going to be an absolute tidal wave of innovation and new projects and so forth coming from the BCH community probably over the next year or two. So if you're, now's a great time to get involved, basically. I think that's probably the summary. I don't know if you have anything to add, Harva.
Yeah, I mean, I can only speak for myself. I'm chain agnostic. I obviously love the stuff you're doing at THORChain. I'm an active user, of course, and back in the day during the block size wars, I worked as a developer for what was then the first Bitcoin wallet in Norway, like BTC and all these other cryptocurrencies. And when I roast Bitcoin maxis on my daily kind of a roasting session on Twitter, people they are extremely angry, and they're like, "Oh, BCH sucks so bad." I mean, we just use BCH because it works. It's like Anakin Skywalker in the meme. It's like, but if it works. So when Dagger Valberg, so came in the room right now, came to me 2 years ago. I was working in the aerospace sector at that point, and told me, Halvor, I know how we can make the world's fastest DEX. Would you like to join and create it? I just said, fuck yes. And BCH was just the optimal chain to do this. And as Jeremy said earlier, how is it the world's fastest DEX? It's just because swapping is faster than sending on-chain transactions, and it's just because the lines of code is so lean, you know. I mean, what is Bitcoin Cash anyways? You have BTC and then you have Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash is just created, maintained, upgraded in the this is a very loaded word, but in that vision of the Satoshi white paper. So we just follow the peer-to-peer cash philosophy, and a little more than 2 years ago, core devs, Dagger included, implemented the cash tokens upgrade, and bim bam bam, we had also some DeFi capabilities. This inspired us to create Cauldron DEX and later Moria USD on the same principle, just following the Satoshi vision of being decentralized, immutable, indestructible. And this is what we do in all the stuff we created in Riffin Labs. We have the kind of philosophy that it should continue operating and working even if all of our team get assassinated. So yeah, that's the taker.
Maybe, Halvor, you can talk to us a little bit about the architecture, design, or how cash tokens are constructed. Like how does it work, basically, for the curious?
Yeah, I can actually, now I see that Dagger actually joined us here. So if you are able, this would be so incredible for everyone here to have you join us up on stage, Dagger. Do you see?
I have co-host superpowers, so I just invited him as a speaker.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's seeing it. Otherwise, you can request Dagger to speak. You should be able to see that also.
The key point with cash tokens basically is that in 2023, BCH added this upgrade, which allows you to put tokens directly onto UTXOs. So people are familiar maybe with Ethereum and the ERC20 tokens that people are trading around. So that's native tokens in Ethereum that are on the EVM model. And now BTC famously does not have native tokens and has kind of never had it, but people since a long time were trying to build Counterparty or Mastercoin, different solutions to try and get tokens into BTC, and it never happened, and it still has not happened. But now there's been all this hubbub over the inscriptions with people making BRC20 tokens and different things. Now, those are not actually recognized by the BTC protocol itself. People are using kind of technical workarounds to hack it in there, which might get them some of the way there, but it puts a limit on actually how performant, how efficient, which translates into the cost to actually send them, and of course how reliable and powerful those tokens can be. So BCH sort of front ran that whole idea with a thing called SLP tokens that it had before cash tokens. And in exploring those ideas, the community found that you do really want to have a native layer solution for tokens. And so that was then heavily researched and was added in 2023. Now, the BCH community was, of course, thinking bigger than just tokens, because the tokens themselves are just messages at the protocol layer, so they don't need to just be used for like a token, you know, that you would trade on a sushi swap or, you know, on THORChain or something like that. It can be used for that. And for instance, Moria USD, the stable coin, is one example of that. But it's also allowed almost any kind of smart contract to be created, because the token you can pass between addresses can just be a programmatic instruction, right? You can be sending a token from one smart contract to another smart contract, which tells the other one, okay, do this or do that, you know, or you can track state, right? You can track the state of the information within contracts also just using tokens. So everything is just operating as native tokens, which includes fungible tokens or NFTs that you might be familiar with, but it also adds scripting power that devs can use behind the scenes. So that's the basic summary of the cash tokens upgrade.
Very interesting. Maybe we'll circle back to cash tokens later because I think it's going to be relevant for multiple discussion points here. Let's bring up Denny and Kenton then to talk more about THORChain. I just put, by the way, for reference in the comments, the link to the Bitcoin Cash pool that we have on THORChain. And it passed, I was surprised to see this actually, it passed $1 billion in total volume ever since the beginning of the creation of the pool, which is probably some time ago now. But still, $1 billion, that's not petty cash. There's definitely some traction, some interest in swapping to and from Bitcoin Cash, clearly, over the THORChain network. But yeah, Kenton and Denny, who wants to pick it up from here?
I'll start, and then Kenton, if I miss something, please pipe up. I just want to say, I think Havler dropped, but I just want to say it was so nice to hear BCH community just say you are a multi-chain future, you are chain agnostic, you are very welcoming. I can't believe how much that means a lot, because especially I talk to like Bitcoin maxis, I get called a shitcoiner and I get kicked in the nuts. So it's really nice to hear that. So I just want to extend that to you. I really appreciate that sentiment. And it's great to hear that we share the same ethos. So thank you for that. I'm going to make it brief, guys, because I really want to get to the meat and potatoes with Rujira and BCH, because you guys stick around. This is going to blow your panties off. I promise you. So THORChain, it's a cross-chain AMM. Okay. And this is a big deal. This is real layer 1 to layer 1. It's a holy grail. We started back in 2020 with BepSwap, 2021 ChaosNet, which is mainnet now. It's been a battle, guys. Figuring out how to make this work. Real layer 1 to layer 1s, hundreds of thousands of lines of code. We've had every imaginable problem. We've had exploits. We've had double spends, consensus failures. It has been a journey, but here we are 5 years or so later, and it works great, and we've done it. So now, basically, what can you build on top of that? That's what we're going to discuss today. It's super exciting. What's happening on THORChain side? We've got new chains coming. We're going to be adding Tron, Solana, and more chains. New optimizations, faster block time. We're going to have an order book native on the layer 1. So arbitrageurs can even be more efficient than they already are. We've got memoless swaps coming. We've got DKLS, in the guts of THORChain, making everything much more fast and smoother. Just THORChain's becoming leaner, meaner, and more resilient, and just better overall. So that's the brevity on the THORChain thing. Very important for THORChain, guys. You do not need to buy or hold Rune, which is the native asset of THORChain, to use THORChain. I'm not telling anyone to buy Rune. I don't care. You start with the native asset. So if you're going to swap into Bitcoin Cash from a stablecoin, so let's say you have USDC, all the gas, all the fees are taken from the starting asset, which pays for the gas of Rune and then the BCH outbound, right? So very important design consideration. We made it so that anyone can interact with it. You do not need to buy or have any special asset in order to use it. Completely no KYC, permissionless. This is a hill I'm willing to die on. There's no way I'm going to move an inch on this. Infrastructure has to be permissionless. It has to have no KYC if we're going to basically free the children of the future, right? That's what we got. That's what we're doing here. That's the point. That's ethos. I'll leave it there because I really want to get in the meat and potatoes. But Kenton, if I missed anything, I want to kick it to you. If you can maybe remind me.
I don't think you missed anything, but I kind of want to add. So just kind of thinking about this space and Bitcoin Cash and everything. I thought I would just read the first sentence of the Bitcoin white paper. A purely peer-to-peer version of electronic cash would allow online payments to be sent directly from one party to another without going through a financial institution. That first sentence set off a Cambrian explosion of ideas and innovation and technology, and is why we're all talking right now, right? And that sentence is what the whole civil war between Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash is all about, right? And Bitcoin Cash is about peer-to-peer, being able to use it as a digital form of cash, be able to actually spend it. And I have a lot of respect for the Bitcoin Cash community for staying true to ethos and trying to build this new financial system. And I think the Bitcoin Cash community and THORChain community have like a ton in common. Like the whole point of THORChain is like a peer-to-peer digital exchange, right? It's not just peer-to-peer cash, but an exchange of tokens. So, we're not, THORChain is chain agnostic, which was mentioned earlier. We just acknowledge it's going to be a multi-chain world, right? There's going to be different blockchains for different purposes. People are going to have, different things they want, different tokens they want to use. And there needs to be a way to exchange between these tokens without a financial institution, without Big Brother, without a third party, that you can do it permissionlessly. And that's what THORChain solved. This is what THORChain is trying to do. Or sorry, that's what THORChain is doing. And that's why, a lot of us are deep in the weeds in THORChain. I do think it could become the biggest exchange in the world for that reason. So I'm actually looking forward to chatting with the Bitcoin Cash guys, because I feel like the two communities have a lot in common from like an ideological point of view.
Yeah, can I just quickly jump in on that? I think that's a really key point with alignment. Like, I think because BTC and BCH had this huge fracture, the BCH culture has been sort of overshadowed by the much larger BTC community. But I think things are going to turn around, and I think we've already significantly seen that across the cryptocurrency space. Like, I would say that the BCH community is actually more committed to its vision than the BTC community, because we've fought on without all the price pumps and everything like that. But at the same time, the BCH community is also more pragmatic in that we understand that we're going to obviously compete in a free market where there's no cope about like, our one way is the one true way and everybody else like cannot even attempt to compete or anything like that. It really is just pragmatically. Of course, there's going to be other solutions, and we need to adapt and learn from those as much as possible, integrate with them where possible, and outcompete them in any other case, right? So I think that's where the BCH community comes from, and it's why we're so keen to look into these kind of collaborations and stuff. Like, nobody gains from being an asshole, basically.
right and that's, I think that's well said. And it's like the first light bulb ever made. That was a 0 to 1 movement. Okay, but obviously there's a lot of improvements to made upon the first initial design of the light bulb, right? Usually the first design of any invention has never standed the test of time when it comes to innovation. So this is going to be a multi-chain future. I put a post up top, and Kenton, I'll let you go in just a second, regarding Rujira. I was going to kick it to Mark, but I'm going to go ahead and kick it to Kenton. Guys, what's happening is absolutely huge. I'm going to stop there.
I just want to add to your light bulb comment. Like, there's a quote from Edison. It's something like, how did you invent a light bulb? And he's like, well, I found 1,000 ways it didn't work. Something to that extent. He was just like, it was just massive trial and error. And then he finally figured out, was it tungsten? I can't remember which metal. Anyway, but he finally figured out which filament metal to use for the filament and got the light bulb to work. But in a lot of ways, it's true of crypto. Like, we got all these thousands of different cryptocurrencies, and everyone's trying to figure out which one's going to work. But our goal remains the same, right? To illuminate the world, and for lack of a better expression.
Well said, brother. Well said.
I'll pick it up from there. Unless Halvor, you had something to add. I see you unmuting yourself.
I do not
Nope.
hear him be speaking.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, I can't hear him either. Might need to rejoin.
Yeah, he rejoined just before, but I don't know if he has some mic issues. Anyways, I'll pick it up from here, guys. Thanks, Danny and Kenton, for looping me up to make a smash here, or whatever you say in English. But yeah, Rujira, the app layer on THORChain. So that basically means not just the app layer for THORChain and the whoever has Rune and the Thor assets, but it means the app layer for all the chains that connects to THORChain, including, of course, Bitcoin Cash. THORChain has built an incredible infrastructure over many years now. It's working. It's working and has been working for many years at this point, as I just mentioned before. 1 billion in volume in the Bitcoin Cash pool. And you can just go through the various different pools on THORChain. It just works, which is great. Just like Bitcoin Cash works to transact. This is the infrastructure that we need if we are truly to redefine the at least financial world that we live in and everything that follows. Rujira is the app layer can be many things, of course. But right now, I think the killer apps in crypto is DeFi. So that's where we start with Rujira. We're providing right now a what we call a full-fledged trading experience. If you go on Rujira.network, you can connect many different wallets, not just one, but actually all your wallets. So that basically providing you with the full overview of all your crypto assets, whether that's in one wallet or multiple wallets, which is what you truly need, if you ask me, to compete with all the centralized exchanges. When you think about it, when you sign up to Binance, you have like 200, 300 different blockchains that you connect to natively. That's what we're trying to do with Rujira. But yeah, go on Rujira, connect your wallets, and off you go. So where do you go? You go first to trade, usually in crypto. So you have a spot trading experience. You have a perps experience that Danny was just mentioning and highlighted in the post up here. So you have these different trading experiences that you would expect from a Binance or other centralized exchange. And this is going to be a topic, guys, by the way. Like we keep saying in crypto that DEXs are going to surpass SEXs, but it hasn't really happened. I think we've missed key components in order to make it happen. One of which is to make sure that you have this sort of seamless integrated experience, trading experience, still using native assets. No one has really managed to get to that point, right? It's always like, then you need to bridge your assets over here, or you need to wrap it over here, and then custody with this pseudo bank over here. You have to jump through all these different hoops. With the THORChain and Rujira, you don't really have to. So what that really brings the Bitcoin Cash community is that you can use your native BCH to do all kinds of things. The killer application, usually when I talk to communities, is that you can borrow against your native assets. So you can deposit your Bitcoin Cash and take out a loan. This is not available right now, but this is going to be the next big feature that we roll out on the Rujira.network, most likely. So I'll stop there and take any questions, of course, if you have any. But generally, just providing a full-fledged DeFi experience using native Rails, native tokens. No need to bridge it, no need to wrap it, because of the powerful THORChain architecture that we are building on top of, and really piggybacking on the many years of hard work that started with the founders, and then afterwards the core developing team that we're working closely with between the app layer and the base layer on THORChain.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there, Mark. All kudos to the work you've done. And the fact is that building lizard apps brings lizard money, right? So we see this in BTC, the ossification, and all these people. We actually went to the World Economic Forum in Davos, me and Dagger, and our whole team went there actually. And yeah, it's fucking creepy, right? And I have to say, it was the biggest cesspool of tryhards and really evil lizard people I've seen in my entire life. We were actually, even our lawyer, Magnus Jones, he's here, super talented guy, maybe Europe's best crypto lawyer. We actually went to USDC's, they have their own house in Davos. Yeah, they really love those people. They had their own house, and we went there, went there, and we're like, hey, we are the Shadow Wizard Money Gang. What's up? And we were immediately kicked out just for our cool vibes. And my point is that I agree with Mark in this. Creating doxed bank adjacent apps brings in bank money, and this is kind of a cancerous thing, right? But like Jeremy said earlier, being in the shadows, it's like when there's a bear market. Yeah, it's fucking bad that there's a bear market, but it's also good because then you can build, and like with Edison, you can figure out all these thousands of ways that stuff doesn't work, and you can create new stuff. And then people are open to implementing DeFi on a chain that were actually meant to be peer-to-peer cash. Just in addition to all the other stuff, in addition to being cash, in addition to it being used to send in third world countries, to send money to your mother and to buy rice, and people don't need a bank, because they can just buy a shitty Android from China for like $10 and then go into a web page, and there you have a wallet and you can send money. And this is, I agree, this is a common thing between THORChain and the BCH community and the MUSD users. We don't have this JP Morgan and all these other lizard banks backing us up and creating ETFs with fake paper versions of our tokens on, and we are happy. We don't want this. We don't want to align ourselves with these people. So glad to hear these ideas and philosophies shared with you guys, and all kudos to you.
I have a question. Oh, go on.
Oh no, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Well, if we're going to talk, between THORChain and BCH, I saw it was earlier this week, somebody was posting in the BCH Telegram groups about the THORChain top pools. So BCH is apparently number 3 for weekly income with 2.2 K USD per week after BTC and ETH. And unbelievably, we're actually on the 24-hour volume, we were number 2 ahead of ETH with 9.2 million and behind BTC at 14.6 million. So I was wondering if you guys have any sort of insight into, given the relative market cap differential, how is BCH outperforming so hard on those services, and what can we do to obviously accelerate that? Like, it would be awesome if we could somehow get to number 1. And I mean, I have some thoughts on our side what we could do, but maybe on your side you have some more insight as to how or why that's happening.
I'm gonna Kenton might have some ideas on this, but there's something really interesting on THORChain. There's like really interesting swaps into Bitcoin Cash. I don't know why, but there was a constant inflow of AVAX avalanche to BCH and things like that. And I always find that so curious. But you're right, BCH is an extremely attractive asset on THORChain. And in order to increase usage, just swap, guys. Like, just use these non-KYC decentralized rails. It's freaking cheap, let me tell you. In fact, Kenton can speak to this. We're building our own interface. THORChain is like the only DEX in the world that does not have its own interface, and we find that's quite silly. And we're building something, but when there's no affiliate fee, it's like 10 basis points for a swap, right? So to give you in perspective, for every $1,000 you swap, that's a freaking $1 in a fee. I mean, it's like nothing. It's $1 million to $1,000. It's incredible. So, up top is perps. I'm so sorry. I should have checked if BCH is one available. Maybe it is, Mark, you can tell me. But, guys, we have built some of those incredible DeFi primitives, and much more, way more are coming. If you are going to swap your BCH, do not send it to a centralized exchange. Do not do that. Use the native rails that we have. And I'm going to go ahead and pause myself and put a link up there so you guys can see it firsthand. But I'll go ahead and kick it to Kenton because I believe he wanted to say something.
I was just going to say, I don't know. I don't know where those trades or flows are coming from. I like to think that, the people in the Bitcoin Cash are probably much more savvy crypto-wise and, philosophically. And so they probably, recognize THORChain for what it is and would rather want to use it versus any other exchange. So, maybe that's why. I'm assuming BCH people are, more inclined to actually use it, like to spend on things, and maybe they're getting in and out of stable coins and stuff like that. I don't know, but yeah, I like to think it's the BCH community recognizing THORChain and Bitcoin Cash are like actually very similar, so they would rather use it versus Coinbase or Binance or whatnot, and it's the only DEX that can do Bitcoin Cash to other layer ones. Like, there's no wrap tokens, right? It's all, everything's native. So you asked how we can increase that. I'm glad you asked, because I want to ask you guys that too. Is like, in my mind, everyone in the Bitcoin Cash community should know about THORChain. That should be, of course, type thing. Like, how do we reach the whole Bitcoin Cash community and let them know about THORChain and what it does? Yeah, do you have any ideas on how to do that?
That's why we're here, right? I think this is the main thing that we need to do. Is I think this is true of all crypto communities, and BCH is not an exception here. Is like living and existing within their little bubbles and little ecosystems, and this is why it's so important for us to have these conversations, because it creates those networks, right? We get to meet each other, we get to talk about it, but it also gets, I see a lot of BCHs that I know in here, and they'll be listening to this, and this may be the first time that they're hearing of THORChain, or the first time they're really getting educated on it, because of that. So yeah, we need more spaces like this. Like, that's how you get it, and that's how we get the reach out, and get people more interested in this and starting to delve in, and just doing their own thing, working on this, and using it and using the chain. So yeah, well done for hosting this.
I've
And
got an
yeah,
idea.
also just on and off ramping from BCH, right? On all these BCH apps, even on Cauldron. I mean, when I think about it, there's nothing stopping us from implementing some cross-chain gateway through THORChain, and having people, I mean, with some kind of interface work, be able to deposit going through THORChain, obviously, BTC, ETH, AVAX, all these tokens, and it ending up as BCH right in your Cauldron wallet, native Cauldron wallet. So yeah, I'm very glad we did this. So that's a very good idea. So yeah, we should make this.
If you don't mind me bringing this up, so I went to Cauldron, went to the site, and I just typed in BTC, and I see you've got QBTC and 1BTC, and like those are wrapped tokens, right? So this is what THORChain solves and provides, is that you can actually buy real Bitcoin, or maybe it's better for me to say you can sell real Bitcoin and buy BCH or whatever.
Yeah, I've got some wrap BTC I can sell you too. If you just wait 5 minutes, you'll see it. It's called BTC Fiendish. So if you want to go and buy that from me, just want to correct you there. They're not BTC.
Yeah.
These are meme coins.
Yeah, Cauldron is the wild, wild west. Really, it's a wild, wild DeFi west. I mean, we build Cauldron so that we are not gatekeepers of anything. So it really is just interface where anyone can make any token, and anyone can provide liquidity to any token, and even if it's a nuclear war.
Well, you know what? I kind of want to put like call to action here. First off, guys, if you're listening live or the recording, just share it right now and tag your BCH or THORChain or Rujira buddies. People who are listening live, please just start following each other. Like all the little purple circles and other, like those are Rujirans. The green circle, I don't have a green circle, sorry. Those are THORChain. Like just start following each other, guys. Like we need to actually blend our communities. I think this is very important. And I know you guys said you had some spaces as well. I'd love to come on your space and talk anytime and talk to your guys and answer any questions or whatever. I am very interested in emerging, because I think this is the future. That's just what we all believe in. And I really want to work towards that as aggressively as possible. Because I think it was Havlor was saying, or Fiendus, I'm sorry, I don't remember, but you guys were talking about the lizards. That is 100% true. And I know you're trying to be funny, but actually you are being dead serious. So I'm a public official myself. I'm not high on the food chain or anything, but I've talked to some pretty high people on the totem pole. And I got to tell you guys, these people are absolutely diabolical. They are extremely evil. And I'm not being funny. I'm seriously, like, they frighten me. They really do.
They're demons.
They are demons. It's 100%. And the last regime we were under, I was really scared, you guys. And I'm so thankful. And it's not political because I have problems with both parties. But I am so glad now we have time to breathe a little bit where we can build. And this is the time, guys. This is the moment. It's not 4 years from now. It's not 8 years from now. We got to build now. So to all the devs on Rujira, THORChain, BCH, or any adjacent community, you got to buckle in and deliver it. We have to make this infrastructure so strong right now. And I mean it right now, so that they can never take this away. This is our one chance to do it, and we've got to work together. So I will follow anyone in here, and I will do whatever I can. I'll go to any show. We got to bring our communities together. Let's increase the swap volume. Let's get BCH more utility. If I can help you guys beat Bitcoin, I don't care. I would love to do that, because I think you guys have our ethos more than the Bitcoin community. Just saying.
Yeah.
And I think there's sometimes there's I feel like talking to some ecosystems are they don't want their token trading on THORChain, for example, because they don't want money leaving their ecosystem and going to other tokens. And I'm like, well, I feel like it's a pretty short-sighted way of looking at it. I think the better way of looking at it is you could have other ecosystems money coming into yours, right? If your tech is that great and your token is that awesome, you should want to have every possible way for people to buy it. And that's, THORChain makes it as possible as can be for basically any crypto in the world to buy your token. So everyone should, every ecosystem should want their token on THORChain, and especially if, like, the lizard people get their way, and all these centralized exchanges and everything, and it becomes this, they close the on and off ramps on us. THORChain is going to be it. THORChain is going to be the exchange, the only place to go to. So the sooner people start using it and get comfortable with it and get on it, the better. Yeah, sorry, somebody's gonna say something.
Yeah, I was just wanted to totally underline what you're saying there, Kenton. So I'm a really big believer of network effect, like money. We've built great money with BCH, and it's a real fantastic technology. But money is only as good as what you can do with it. So network effect is critical. We need to gain critical mass network effect to be able to succeed in what we're all trying to do here. And so when you're thinking about what you mentioned there, roads going out, roads going in, that's exactly that. That's network effect. The more you can do with your money, the more you can do with your tokens, whatever it is you're doing, the more value it has. So and reiterating like what's been said before, like why is sex is so much more used than dexes, and like the UX is still there. So it's not just got to be these integration where we can move from one chain to the other, but really slick integration that's effortless. You don't even realize what's happening. It just works. And that increases huge amounts of value. So couldn't agree with you more that it's short-term thinking to think that money will go out. No, it's a two-way thing. It's you're basically creating for both sides a larger network and more worth and more value then to those networks. And that's what we need if we want to be successful in this mission.
Yeah, so I
Totally
want to
agree.
jump in here. I've got one like sort of real action. Well, I've got two ideas, but I want to hit you with this one first. So the BCH community started in, I think it was in March or in February, maybe. We started this thing called BCH Bank Run. So what it is that every month on the 1st and the 15th of that month, we try and sort of coordinate people. It happens very loosely, of course, but everybody knows those are the days. If you're going to be buying any BCH, whether it's with crypto or with fiat, or even just earning it directly, like syncing up, your business invoices, then on the 1st and the 15th, that's when you increase your stack of on-chain BCH. And the idea is that if we can coordinate that at a large enough scale, we will be able to uncover the fractional reserves that the exchanges are definitely using to manipulate BCH, and BCH specifically. For instance, Binance does proof of reserves, but they don't do it for BCH. And we've seen this across like so many exchanges. We've already started to cause withdrawal problems at the exchanges, literally just by coordinating everybody on the same day to withdraw. Nobody obviously is withdrawing coins they quote unquote shouldn't have, but literally just what the exchange agrees that we have. And then it's like, oh, suddenly there's technical issues. They make up all this FUD and bullshit like, oh, BCH is not working. It's like, no, it's definitely working. You guys just literally do not have the coins and you can't deliver them. But of course, if everybody's just in a disorganized mess withdrawing, then they can shift around. They can play a shell game and keep everyone mostly happy, right? So we have this thing, BCH Bank Run. We've been doing it now for about 4 or 5 months, and it's been pretty successful. And I think it's one of the reasons that BCH has also started moving up the price rankings now, whether that's because the exchanges have decided they would rather just scam another community than us, I don't know. But this seems like a perfect point of cooperation, because this is where we could also cross promote with THORChain and Rujira, because for people bringing coins in from other ecosystems directly on chain on that same day, it would be perfect, because the market will distribute the pressure onto whichever exchange is most lacking reserves. And ideally, hopefully one day we can even blow up an exchange, a centralized exchange.
And it's not market manipulation at all, because it's public, and it's just lizard extermination tactics, because these sexes, they don't have the liquidity they say they have. So it's just proving that the paper crypto they say they have, they don't even have it.
And if you look at like why do people leave their crypto on the exchanges, like FTX, for example, like there's lots of sophisticated people, savvy crypto users that left their crypto on FTX, and it's just like they knew better, but it was just convenience, right? Like, it was easy to trade, and they're doing leverage and margin trading and high frequency trading, all that kind of stuff, and like that's why they leave their crypto there. But whereas, so like for example, somebody might be trading BCH a lot, and they're doing pairs on their tokens because their goal is to increase their number of BCH. And like, okay, that's fine, get it. Everyone's trading and doing stuff like that. But what's great is THORChain empowers that, is that you can have self-custody and you can still do, especially with Rujira now, you're going to get to the point where you can do everything you're doing on the centralized exchange to accumulate more BCH, you can do on THORChain and Rujira. Whether it's perps trading or trading different pairs or whatever, it's on THORChain, right? So there'll be no need to leave your crypto on the SEX when you can now take self-custody and have all of those same features and same things in self-custody.
Right. And I have a question for the Bitcoin Cash community here. I could shill Rujira and all the applications we're rolling out all day long. But I want to extend the question to you guys. Like, what is it that you find missing the most right now? What would be the most powerful feature or app that we could build and provide for the Bitcoin Cash community?
I mean, I think my answer is really simple, which is going to be some kind of cash tokens integration, and MUSD is got to be the first one, because BCH has actually got itself in a roundabout way into quite a good position where we already know stable coins have been such a big topic this year, and they've been such an essential part of crypto. USDT and USDC are sort of dominating the market so far, but they're both centralized, and we all know at some point they're going to rug, they're going to blow up. I mean, the government is probably already running them, but maybe it finds it convenient to shut them down at some point, etc. So the BCH community definitely needs access to its own stable coins, and the first pioneering example we have is MUSD, which is backed by BCH on-chain reserves. But if we could get that into THORChain, so that then people, or Rujira, so that people can then onboard, like you already have USDC, but onboard any of their other cryptocurrencies directly into MUSD, so they're getting the benefit of that stable coin without the risk of the centralized blow-ups. That would be huge. I think that's my number one request by far.
Okay, so let's make this happen. So Mark, I think you would know better. I mean, I'm not familiar with the technical specifications here on BCH, but if we have BCH obviously integrated, to make a pool on THORChain, you have to be whitelisted, and then you just need 10,000 rune worth of liquidity. So 10,000 rune, then 10,000 of the exogenous asset, which would be MUSD. So maybe Mark, you could forward to THORChain, because I know you're closer to the dev than I am. About maybe like we can see if we can seed that. If we can seed that pool, then it exists on THORChain. Then Rujira can then access it for the various DeFi primitives. So what do you think? You think that's doable, Mark?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and we'll provide liquidity, Rift and Labs.
Bam. We're making
it should be. It shouldn't be. If there is a technical lift, I don't think it'd be much, because there with Ethereum,
right? Yes.
And then ERC20s, right? There's two different things. I don't know if it's the same with Bitcoin Cash and MUSD. If it's gonna, but because we have the gas asset, because Bitcoin Cash is already there, I like to think it shouldn't be much harder to support MUSD if it lives on the Bitcoin Cash blockchain. Mark would know better than me, but
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I'm gonna look into it for sure. But yeah, it's mint. From what I understand, the MUSD is minted on the Bitcoin Cash network, right? And as you say, Kenton, because we have that integrated already, we just need to whitelist the asset and then seed the pool.
And I think I want to say that the JP and the Treasury do have an interest in getting as many stable coins as possible on THORChain, because that's obviously a good. We want to have as much different stable coins as possible for people to use.
Yeah, and there's a bigger debate here, which is pretty cool, and I'm glad actually the subject come up because we are introducing on the app layer something called orbital pools, which is a super cool theoretical thing where you can basically have all kinds of staples in this case, but you could also have like wrapped versions of a token that's a wrapped BCC and whatnot. But stablecoins are definitely going to be the primary use case here for orbital pools. We can even add MUSD in there, which basically means that you have next to no slippage. You have instant finality settlements via, of course, the THORChain base layer. There's some really cool features. No one has done it yet, only on paper, hypothetically. To our knowledge, Rujira and THORChain is going to be the first live production ready implementation of this, which is going to blow out most other DEXs and protocols out there because you always have this slippage and not instant finality setup. So yeah, it's going to be a 0-to-1 moment if you ask me with orbital pools. And having MUSD in there is definitely going to be a good use case because that's not a widespread adopted stablecoin. So it's a great use case to show like even smaller stablecoins can really benefit from this and have the same powerful sort of setup as you see in super dense pools on Uniswap and whatnot. So anyways, I'm rambling, but orbital pools is going to be a perfect use case to really test how powerful this technology is. So yeah, let's make it happen.
Nice. Looking much forward to this. Very good news. And yeah, we have together with Familiar Cow, Tyler, created a group with the MUSD people and also about 40 Bitcoin Cash and THORChain heavyweights to pull this through. I jokingly said that we have enough programming power to topple a government, and yeah, it might not even be a joke. So yeah, let's fucking go.
Let's go.
What does the M stand for?
Moria.
Pardon?
It stands for Moria, which is many people think that it's named after the Moria from Lord of the Rings, but actually it's named after Soria Moria Castle, which also Tolkien named the Mines of Moria after in the Lottery books, which going balls deep in the lore here, but the Soria Moria Castle, it's famous Norwegian fairy tale castle, which is beyond the hill and back in the woods. So it's super deep Norwegian fairy tale lore from hundreds of years ago. So yeah.
So is it like a passive aggressive comment on fiat? Is that the idea?
No, not at all. It's just homage to our beautiful Norwegian nature and our cute little fairy tales from the 1800s. And yeah, they're probably thousands of years old, but you don't even know. So it's just some books they found, and then some people had told their kids these stories, and they told their kids, and at some point they wrote them down, and now it's a fairy tale, and now it's a stablecoin. So yeah.
Oh, it's a positive fairy tale. Oh, sorry, I thought it was a negative. I thought it was a negative one, and that's why Tolkien did it in Lord of the Rings. Okay, sorry.
No, we don't fuck with negativity over here.
That's the problem, is that there's lore that it depends. You know who read the books, and then who just watched the movies, because there's just such a huge divergence there. 100%.
I agree.
Well, guys, I hope you're getting really excited, because I said in the beginning of the space, we're going to be blowing your panties off. Your panties should be halfway off right now. This is crazy. Okay, what's coming? I'm telling you, this is big stuff. What's going? This is 0-to-1s everywhere. Please share the space and spread news about this. Okay, I'm being deadly serious. We got to spread the word about this. Yeah, and up top, I put some resources, guys. I put the link to the Leo Dex. It's a 0-fee interface. You don't have to swap or go there right now. Please listen to the space, but bookmark it or whatever. Check it out, because you can just input values. You don't need to connect a wallet or anything to see, and you can just get a sense of what the price execution is on the BCH side. You're doing any swaps, okay? And then I also shared some information about fees, how it works on THORChain. And also, this was earlier in the conversation. You guys were talking about some cash primitives and stuff like that. I also put up Mocha up there. They're making a point of sale application because you can use the decentralized liquidity pools of THORChain to settle real world goods and services in stores. And BCH would be a perfect candidate for that. So reach out to that team as well. I'll go ahead and kick it to Mark if he wants to add something else here.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just reading up on MUSD. I think in reality, I know the folktale Halvor that you mentioned as a fellow Scandinavian brother. I think it stands for Mark USD though. That's really what you meant, I think. But
Of course, of course.
I'm still gonna go
but
with this
no,
Mark of the Beast. I can't get the negative connotations out
Oh
of my mind.
man.
Yeah, in Scandinavia, we take that beast energy and we channel it inside of us to create, the true power to do great stuff. And all the killing and raping, we're done with that. Okay, now we only make great permissionless software.
Patriot, you brought up Mocha app. I don't know if you actually said it, but so yeah, Mocha they're trying to get into like stores and all kinds of stuff for people to be able to spend crypto. I would think, yeah, having Bitcoin Cash integrated there would be great for them to be able to spend BCH. Do you guys know about Mocha and what they're doing? Have you
No,
guys
It's
heard of
new to
that?
me.
I haven't
Okay.
heard of it, but it's triggering a thought in my head, which is basically, I think, we're converging on the same thing from opposite directions, because the BCH community still has they're small, of course, because we're a small community, but we still have some thriving hubs of people, building real physical merchant networks and communities. At the moment, the most popular ones seem to be in the Philippines with a company called Paytaka, and also in Argentina, because the need is so high there as well. And they're both sort of building their own like point of sale merchant solution. So that also seems to me like a great opportunity for a crossover here, because there's already kind of attraction for tourism there. And if we had an integration with the point of sale schemes that those guys are using, then it could be anybody from any crypto community could rock up there and then suddenly be, living like doing a whole holiday, only spending crypto, etc. Like at the moment, that's only kind of available, quote unquote, to the BCH community who know about it and have the right asset. But if we had an integration that somebody could just show up with their Litecoin or their BTC or whatever they wanted, and they could still spend on everything, then they would be able to try that experience of living the crypto dream.
Mocha's got you. Mocha has got you. I put the link in the comments, dude. 100%. I'm with you 110%. So how it works, let's say I sell hot dogs. You're my customer, right? Hot dog come in. I'm just gonna make numbers up. Who cares? It is 0.01 BCH, whatever, right? That's for the hot dog. So I am the business. Mocha app opens. You just scan a QR code. There's different ways to do it, but I'm just gonna keep it really simple for brevity, right? And as the business, I can settle in whatever asset. Maybe a stable coin, maybe it's MUSD, maybe it's BCH, maybe it's Bitcoin. Who cares? I can pick whatever I want. You're the customer. So BCH goes from your wallet, goes to THORChain, gets swapped into the settlement layer of the choice, and then it gets sent to the business, which would be me. Boom. We have point of sale with various layer ones, real point of sale. So this is amazing because it brings normies into crypto, and it's super cheap. It's much cheaper than MasterCard and Visa, because what do they charge? Like 150, 600 basis points? It's absurd. Mocha will be way cheaper than that. So people now, you'll get a price premium, or you could do this in the business, give people a price premium if they use crypto to pay, because you're saving money, right? Which is the perfect economic incentive. You guys got to reach out to them. I'm telling you, it's
this is so good. This is so good. This is so smart. I'm so happy to hear this, Patriot, because Dagger and I have actually discussed this exact way of doing POS before, and it's just we couldn't do it on top of Cauldron and Moria and MUSD everything. So this is the way to go. Let's fucking go. This is so good to hear.
Let's go. Let's fucking go. They're starting in September. Okay. So reach out to them. They share our ethos. You'll get along with them. Go ahead, Kenton.
I was gonna say, no, it's Visa and MasterCard charge more like 3%, 300 basis points, and like there's still there's a Thai restaurant I used to go to, and they'd always tell you if you pay cash, they'll take 10% off the bill, and so maybe that encourages, Mocha app can make it possible for people to pay, air quotes cash, right, crypto, and then like you said, maybe the restaurant offer a bit of a discount for doing that.
So where are they at then?
Exactly.
Do they have an existing like merchant network, or you said are they launching in September? Is this still like?
So they've got so they're based in Mexico, Guadalajara mostly, and I'm in the States. I'm going to help push them here. We also got teams, the XRP community. By the way, I've talked to the I got to say, they actually share, I'm with a community. They share our ethos. They're really cool people. I love them. They're also going to be pushing the network too, right? So it's just going to be an all out blitz come September is my understanding. But yeah, this slots in perfectly with you guys. And what's so cool, like, when you make a swap on THORChain, something we didn't talk about, when you want a centralized exchange, it's just a data point, a ledger. If it's not real activity. With THORChain, with Mocha, it's going to be real activity on the layer 1, which makes the metrics look nice and sexy, which is going to show that BCH is getting adoption, right? So this is really, really, really cool. Anyone who does a swap with BCH or whatever on a decentralized platform, you are contributing to the health of your network. A centralized exchange does not give you that. So there is just so many things here, guys, that are absolutely incredible, and it is freaking go time. I hope you guys are pumped. I'm getting really pumped up. I haven't had coffee yet. I'm freaking out over here.
Yeah, same. It's 10 in the. It's probably the same in Denmark if you're in Denmark, and yeah, I'm super pumped too. So yeah, and I'm just so happy to hear everyone sharing this vision. I mean, it's from time to time it's been dark, because so many normies have been onboarded to crypto, and they've been misled, misguided by podcast hosts who they found Bitcoin 2 years ago and have been lured in by people with surnames with nautic surnames to pump their bags and be their exit liquidity. And yeah, many people have been misguided. I'm so freaking happy to hear this philosophy being shared here, and I know that Satoshi is smiling right now.
Patria, I really like you brought up that point of on-chain metrics. You can show that things are happening in the layer 1. BCH is being used. I'm curious, BCH guys, can you tell me? It's been a while since I've looked it up, but I remember, looking at charts of the various usage of layer 1s, and like Monero was always really high. I don't remember. Where does Bitcoin Cash fall on that list of actual transactions, actually being used as cash, people spending it?
Well, it's a super interesting question actually, and so the BCH is both high and low in a sense, right? In terms of our actual on-chain transactions that happen every day at the moment, I think it's about between 10 and 15,000 usually transactions per day. I think Monero is maybe 40 or 50,000 per day, to give you some idea. But there's one sleight of hand going on where there's actually quite a lot of activity in BCH, relative to a lot of other coins that are even above it in the market cap in terms of real people and real projects and all that stuff. But for instance, BitPay releases stats about how many people are using them, and Litecoin is number 1 with 40% or something, and BCH is maybe 5%. But part of the reason is because the BCH community has built a lot of its own tooling. Like I said about these guys in the Philippines or in Argentina, there's a infrastructure called prompt.cash. There's the Bitcoin Cash Register app. There's all this stuff that the BCH community has built just internally, so our stats don't show up on any of those cross-chain service analysis kind of sites, so I don't know, but in Monero, as far as I'm aware, they have a lot more of these integrations into wallets that let you swap between all the different coins and stuff, rather than BCH only services stuff. So that's a huge area of opportunity for us to improve on. Obviously, it's great that we have our own internal tooling, but we need to bring that into the more multi-chain economy, which is part of why we're talking to you guys, obviously.
Yeah, that's what we're here for, to help with, I think.
Do you guys view Monero and Litecoin as kind of competition to Bitcoin Cash, as far as being actually used in day-to-day transactions, or is there any other tokens you guys see as like competition, or
technically,
there
it's
is no competition. Bitcoin Cash is the
No,
best.
yeah, it is. It is. I mean, Monero has this clear, kind of very anarchist kind of optics, and they really own up to it. Well, I think, and this is freaking cool. This is what I love about Monero. I fully endorse Monero. But Bitcoin Cash has taken this kind of middle road between being clean cryptocurrency that your grandma can hold and everyone can fully endorse, even government people, but also having powerful tools that equal the standard way of Monero operating in terms of privacy and not being able to be tracked by anyone. So it's quite different, and they have different use cases and kind of optics.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it kind of cuts back to what we were saying more at the start, where, of course, by the definition of the words, Litecoin and Monero and every other coin in the top 10,000 is technically our competition, but I certainly don't feel a lot of competitiveness with them directly because BCH has its own lane and its own strategy, like I talked about with doing the DeFi integrations and so forth. Like, I'm not aware of Litecoin, as far as I'm aware, is nowhere close to being able to have on-chain native assets and stable coins like Moria that we were talking about. It's not, Monero as well. Their privacy tech that they baked into layer 1 sort of prevents them from simultaneously doing a lot of this different stuff. So BCH has a nice little lane as UTXO DeFi, which I think is going to explode kind of as a category probably over the next 3 or 4 years, because people have been so excited about DeFi and a lot of money has gone into that. But Ethereum is now showing that there are limits to how far you can get with the EVM. And so people are going to sort of reinvent the wheel in a way where they realize, wait, maybe the UTXO model, which was just quietly bubbling along this whole time, really had more to it than we expected. And I expect, BCH is going to be at the forefront of that. So and it's funny because maybe 2 years ago, I would get a lot of these reply guys and arguments and so forth from like LTC people, and maybe 6 months ago, Monero people, but they've all kind of dropped off. They got sick of arguing with us because they would try and make these points about, oh, here's our advantage or here's our advantage. And then slowly over time, I'd be like, yeah, but we just shipped this upgrade and now we're going to build an even better. But like, for instance, the Monero privacy stuff, one of the big points with the upgrade this year in May in 2025 Velma was that we've unlocked bigger integers up to any size, which means that we can now make privacy tooling equivalent to Monero and equivalent to Zcash and equivalent to every privacy coin, but on BCH. So you can imagine like an MUSD stable coin, but with the Monero privacy tech baked into it. So nobody has actually done that yet. This is, theoretical, but it's theoretically possible already today. And I'm sure sooner or later somebody is going to build it. So if we can get this MUSD integration going with you guys, when that alternative coin, whatever it is, pops up, that is like the Monero, or maybe even better than Monero, I don't know, we'll wait and see, pops up, then that would also be just like a banger include for you guys, I'm sure. So yeah, that's how I feel about that.
So would that privacy be on the base layer, or is it something like privacy in the base layer like Monero?
No.
Or privacy you have to opt in like Zcash?
Well, I think it would be more like Zcash, but so the tokens, right? The cash tokens like MUSD or like these theoretical privacy tokens are all going to be on the base layer. So the BCH will still be a transparent chain, right? But you will be able to encode into any cash token within that token the sort of tech that you need. So if you're thinking about it in terms of the privacy and anonymity set, it might be limited to inside of that, inside of the pool of people using that token. But if you're familiar like with how Tornado Cash works on Ethereum, it might be something like that. You can send in your existing BCH or your MUSD stable coins, and then it mints you out kind of privacy coins or a claim to some future tokens, and then you can trade them around and do them, and nobody knows who has which thing. Like it's just a black box with, let's say, 10,000 BCH in it, and then your BCH can come out the other side when nobody knows which ones you put in and which ones you later got out. Now, we also have on-chain coin mixing, if you're familiar with stuff like Wasabi, or what's the other one? I forget the name of the other one that they had on BTC, CoinJoin. We have that, but basically better because you can do large transactions with tons of inputs and tons of outputs. So you can look up a thing called Cash Fusion, which lets you do coin mixing by mathematical combinations. So on BTC, the limit is that everyone has to put in 0.1, and any toxic change that gets left over can be tracked. But on BCH, because the on-chain fees are cheap, and you can just do it with any amount, any amounts going in and any amounts coming out. So we're going to be able to stack up these improvements. So even though BCH will be transparent at the base layer, which means regulators are not, harassing it so much, and also there's never any problem with the coin supply in terms of any confusion about that or any bug in the mathematics of issuing coins or anything. At the same time, you can also have like the Monero tech, you can have the Zcash tech, and because you can build any of these tech into the cash tokens, you can have one cash token for each, and then you can have markets between them. So you'll be able to chain them together if you wanted to get, like, let's say you felt like, well, there might be a privacy flaw in the Monero cryptography. Well, you could use the Monero cash token and then also the Zcash cash token, and then you could also cash fusion it afterwards. So it's kind of a defense in depth. Again, this is very theoretical. Like, I'm just telling you this, but in 3 to 5 years, this will be commonplace, I assume.
Yeah, and in the case for Cash Fusion, this is an incredibly powerful tool because you can just click to have it automated, and you can have a stack of your entire net worth just weekly running on this, and it's super powerful. It's like Monero level power in BCH. So recommend that to everyone.
I got a quick
This
question.
is good stuff. Just before, Denny, we actually have built in a privacy tooling into the app layer. So not only can you use privacy apparently on the Bitcoin Cash, but you can also be private about going in and out of Bitcoin Cash using something like Rujira if you want to swap in and out. So I just want to add that part because privacy is a human right. It should be obvious to most, but it's not. And I'm glad that we have the tooling to make that happen. But yeah, back to you, Denny.
That's so sick, man. It's so, guys, there's so much going on. I can't even keep up. I do this full time and I can't even keep up. Real quick, you guys, because we're totally vibing. This is awesome. We're strangers online. Are you guys going to Singapore 2049 by chance? Someone asked me to go. Shit. Okay.
Yeah, we're going.
I think I'm gonna go then. I'd love to meet you in person, man. So we can just take this to the next level. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, likewise.
Cool, sweet, awesome. I also reached out to Mocha. They're grinding right now, so they might not see my message in time, but I linked all your profiles, and I want them to get in touch with you. Let's just take this. Let's just go to 11 out of 10 with speed. But I was hoping actually if we could kick it back to Rujira, because right now, what, Mark? We have perks, we have some things coming, but guys, literally anything is possible with BCH. You can do money markets, leverage trading, or we have perps, that's sort of that, loan, all kinds of stuff. Mark, would you like to maybe talk about what's coming so that the BCHers kind of have an idea?
Yeah, for sure. And happy to get input also on whether something is more exciting than others. But yeah, so I talked about the money market. So you can basically deposit BCH and take out a loan, that's a stablecoin loan or whatever, to pay your bills or whatever. So you never have to sell your BCH. We have a liquidation market, which personally I think is going to be super cool. Buying native assets for people who fly too close to the sun, take out too much leverage on perps markets or money market or whatever. You could buy these liquidated assets if they are taking too much leverage. This is what the whales and all the lizards that we talked about in this space have been doing for, I don't know, decades, I'm sure, maybe centuries. And now it's a common tool to the common man that we are providing. There's a launchpad also. So I don't know how much you guys are doing like launchpad. It could be obviously both NFT collections and all this, but more so just projects. Like what we want to get to is to a stage where normal businesses, an ice cream truck or whatever it is, can launch a business on chain, getting payments on chain from the get-go using Rujira Launchpad. You can choose different assets that you want to get paid in when you're raising funds, including BCH. So yeah, I'm actually curious to hear from the BCH community here. Is that something that you could see using from the BCH community, a launchpad where people can go about like proposing a project? We want to do this. We feel like this is missing in the Bitcoin Cash community. We want to build it, but we need this amount to for I don't know, a year roadmap to build this out. Is that
Yeah.
something you can see at Lex, or how does it work today? even?
Absolutely. Well, right now there are platforms. There's a platform co-developed by Dagger, actually called Flipstarter, which is basically like Kickstarter, where you can put out a target, raise money, and if it's filled, then you get the money to do everything you've put out on your roadmap. If it's not filled, then the crypto is paid back to the sending wallets. We are super fans, and we absolutely see the power of having launch pads where there are pump. There is a pump similar platform on BCH, but you have to reach liquidity targets and stuff. You can't just raise money and sell your token and then have a roadmap and do like a startup. So we are actually implementing this in Cauldron, actually, initial DEX offering, so that people can just create a token and just have a sale, fixed price, and sell their token, raise BCH, convert some of it to fiat to like pay for servers, computers, and other stuff you buy with the demon coins. And yeah, we are actually making this and super bullish on everything Launchpad.
Yeah, I just want to add on to that. So, like you're saying, yeah, this is just kind of another case similar to the Mocha app you were talking about before, where the BCH community has already internally been cooking these kind of things. So there's another site you can go to called fundme.cash, and that's basically, yeah, the similar idea where people can just contribute their BCH into smart contracts. If you hit a certain threshold of funding, then the person who made the plan can then cash it out and deliver whatever they promise to the community. 2 points on that. Firstly is that, so that's how I fund, at least in part. I have various income streams, but one of them is I do a fund me for every 10 episodes of the BCH podcast. So you can go up there and have a look at some of the campaigns I've run. I show all the episodes I've done, everything like that, and then say, if you guys are enjoying it, contribute to the show, and then I give them a shout out at the end of the show. So, and also for Selene Wallet as well, that's part of how we raise money to build Selene Wallet to be free and open source for everybody, is we have community contributors via the FundMe. So that's actually been going really well. And so I think it's a great idea. We already have kind of a solution, but there's so much that could be improved and expanded about that I think it's definitely fertile ground for anybody looking to make any kind of cryptocurrency business. It's so important. And the second thing is that the community had like a big problem with the fundraising related things is not the technology necessarily, obviously that's part of it, but it's the accountability. Is that the BCH community had Flipstarter for many years, and now we've had FundMe for a couple of years, and over time the community have got a lot better about basically not giving away their money to scams. But that's not really something that you can actually code. You can't write any feature that will stop people giving their money to scams. What it comes down to is a community awareness, a culture, and a practice of people learning okay, because it happened. A bunch of people made, plans. I'm going to advertise BCH, and they made all this, grand stuff that they were going to do. And then some people who didn't vet their profile properly or didn't think it through or were just excited that somebody was going to apparently do something was better than nothing, threw their money into it. And then, of course, they either under-delivered relative to what they promised, or they scammed and ran away, etc. So the BCH community has slowly over time learned culturally, not just technologically, how to vet projects better to contribute the funding to, because every funding is valuable. So if anybody is interested in making any kind of fundraising app or project or so forth, I highly recommend them to look into FundMe, look into Flipstarter, look at the history, and come and talk to the BCH community about this exact problem, because we have quite a lot of experience with it that very few other communities do, because they hadn't built these same kind of fundraising platforms in the first place.
Hey, check it out, guys. I got someone from Mocha. I've been working in the background. I got Eric in the crowd. Eric, if you can request and come on up. Eric's their guy. So we're going to get this relationship kickstart off right now. This is awesome. I'm super excited for this, guys. You're going to love what they're building over there. And they're such a great team. They're going to slot real nicely in. Hey, Kenton, I was wondering, do we have something slotted for September 6th for THORChain? I'm thinking maybe BCH might be a good topic. What do you think?
Sure. Yeah, I don't think nothing planned yet.
So that's Saturday, guys. It's 11 a.m. Eastern. If you guys are interested, we have a THORChain space every Saturday. I'd love to have you guys so we can make a more formal introduction of THORChain to BCH. I think that would be absolutely dynamite.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's go.
Awesome, cool. Then
is there, if we plan far enough ahead, is there anyone else from the BCH community you guys can get? Can we get Roger Ver to join us?
That would be hard. That would be hard due to the situation with United States government extradition, etc. But one guy I could really recommend is my partner Dagger. I mean, he was the first to implement BIP 100. He had full support during the block size wars from Coinbase, and true legend. So yeah, Dagger, it would be a powerful play.
Okay, he's not in the audience.
Just divided.
I'm trying to find him.
He's in the audience, but he's currently in Iceland, his home country. So he's not able to join us at this very space.
No worries.
Yeah, but I'm sending his regards.
Perfect. Mark, were you saying something?
I'm also trying to bring up Eric to the stage, but I think he jumped out. Maybe there's some getting rocked by X here.
Yeah. X Spaces, man, it's unreal.
Yeah, it's so
that's what we really need to build a solution to. I have some very vague plans for something to that, but it's actually incredible because Spaces is such a known and popular tool, but it's still so obviously like, why doesn't it have, the ability to run polls of the audience? And like, there's just 1,000 things that you could do to instantly improve it. Obviously, it already has the network effect of everyone being onto it, but I think even setting us, if you could get past that, which is where something like an existing crypto community like the BCH community would be perfect, because you already have a lot of people that are very invested in talking to each other, so that's your kind of seed user base. Then I think there's so much potential for a competitor to Spaces that was actually just a bit more reliable, and I have a lot of ideas in that, but that's maybe a story for another time.
I would love to see that being built on the app layer. In general, like social apps have not been prioritized on Rujira right now. We are mostly focused on DeFi, but it's bound to happen. Only a matter of time. So the more momentum we can build before that, the higher the likelihood of success, if you ask me. But yeah,
Mark, Eric, are you suggesting something to compete with Nostr? Like that kind of freedom, ability to communicate?
Yeah, we have multiple sort of ideas around this. There's still some infrastructure we need to build out, but I can already say, so there's been a lot of chatter in the community about enshrined oracles, which is going to be super freaking cool. You can have price feeds from all kinds of sources. including LLMs, models, the ChatGPTs of the world, Gemini, whatnot, Grok, of course, on this platform. And on top of that, you can build all kinds of cool stuff, I think, powered by AI. Not that we have to rely on all these centralized AI builders. We can go decentralized as well. But the fact of the matter is, when we have enshrined oracles, you can do all kinds of cool social applications on top. Not just prediction markets, but interact with agents and whatnot, both for your financial activities, but also your social activities. We have high-level discussions at this point.
Can you? What is it? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, we have high-level discussions, but nothing carved out for sure, because we are just so laser focused on the DeFi area that we need to get that right before we start branching out, I think. Despite JP and others who wants to go all in on everything at the same time, we have to focus a bit here in the beginning.
I thought maybe, just in case people are listening don't quite understand, like an oracle is just looking at non-crypto data and information, like bringing, and Chainlink is like the leader in that, right? What makes THORChain's oracle different, and why are you calling it enshrined oracle? Why using that term?
Yeah, so we're basically building a data layer inside of the block itself. So in a sense, node operators just write into the block, enshrine the blocks with these different price feed data from external sources, which makes it verifiable in the network, essentially. And the applications of this goes way beyond just, it's not just price data, for example. So you can ask simple questions like, did Zelensky wear a suit the last meeting that he did, or did he wear his usual military uniform? And then you ask, I don't know, all kinds of LLMs, all kinds of sources that should have an answer for this. And then if there's a, let's say, 2/3 majority, then the answer becomes yes automatically. But of course, there's all sorts of ways to game this system. So we have to really think through how we do this and what problems to tackle first. But I think if you can build a system like this, you really are gunning for being able to build a version of the internet, a decentralized internet that is much less corrupted as we see today. But that's a whole big discussion. So I don't know if we should get into that now. But yeah, the applications that we can build on top of this is going to be super powerful, if you ask me.
Yeah, I saw Zelensky in person in Davos, and he did not wear a suit.
There you go. You can be a source for the enshrined oracles that we built.
Yeah.
There you go.
Which is also a case. You can have, on-site people reporting, even. Anyways.
And the enshrined oracles on THORChain, in theory, will be more secure and safer than Chainlink, right? And if so, can you explain why?
Yeah, I mean, it all comes down to the sources that you use, right? So I'm not too much into all the sources that Chainlink uses, but yeah, I mean, we can verify in a different way because we run a network that is inherently very different from Chainlink. But I don't think we should sit here and say that we can be much better than Chainlink, who's been doing this for many, many, many years just yet. I think we have to, right now, enshrined oracles are live on StageNet. We are about to activate the price feeds actually this coming week, which is also why I probably have to log off pretty soon because we have a call in the morning where we're going to test this. But yeah, and then we just let it run. Like we will throw all kinds of feeds in there, LLMs, price feeds, of course, that we need for the applications we have right now. Maybe even Halvor is going to get his feed to put in all kinds of data. We're going to test and torture this thing as much as we can. And after we get the test results back, then we're going to start making some noise, I think, about how we can compete directly with the Chainlinks of the world, et cetera, et cetera.
But the original like impetus reason to get these enshrined oracles going on THORChain is for perps trading, right? To get accurate price feeds from the rest of the world for perpetuals. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Perpetuals and prediction markets are clear cases where we can already see there's a big market to fill. So yeah, perps, for example, when you want to make bets whether Bitcoin Cash or whatever token goes up and down. Prediction markets for whatever political election or whatever people want to bet on. Of course, there's sports betting. There's all kinds of betting that you can do with prediction markets. But yeah, as I was alluding to before, the applications of this goes way beyond just sort of binary financial bets. We can do way more with this. But this is going to be how it starts, and then we fine tune, we improve, then we hopefully conquer the world with this powerful technology.
Super exciting, man. And that's awesome. And it looks like Eric is up. He is from Mocha. And Eric, before you introduce yourself, I want you to know that we've been chatting a while here, and I already gave him a pretty high level of how Mocha works. I gave him an example of a merchant and a seller and told them how it works on the back end. But I just want you to introduce yourself. These BCH guys, they are freaking awesome. They share our ethos, and they've been trying to build something like a point of sale. I'm not an expert on it, of course, but yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself, man. Let's get this relationship started.
Hey, what's up? Yes, thank you very much for sending me that DM and letting me know about this space. I had it mapped on my head, but I didn't know exactly when it was going to happen. So happy to be here, guys. And whack me, guys. I think we already have something set up for a few weeks from now to introduce your audience to Mocha, but happy to be here as well to connect with the BCH crew.
Absolutely, good to talk.
Yeah, good to talk. As mentioned, we have actually thought about creating some kind of POS system, and the kind of infrastructure that we imagined was exactly the stuff that Patriot said that you guys are building. So kudos to you. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And you know what? I'm not going to bore you with the same stuff that Danny already said because he knows a lot about Mocha. He's probably like, he's the person that is not from the team that knows more than anyone else. So he's the real deal. But here's the thing. And I don't want to hijack the conversation. I'm just going to say this. We are going to market on September 16th, and we want to do a few marketing verticals. One of them is pay with XRP. The other one would be to leverage the Zcash technology, and we're also looking for a third vertical. And I'm pretty sure that BCH could be one of them. So maybe we can have a more in-depth conversation on how we can market Mocha through BCH payments with BCH and have some co-marketing or joint marketing efforts where we try to get to the audience through BCH.
Okay,
sounds
guys.
perfect.
Yes.
This is when your panties go all the way down. So we started with panties. We were halfway. Now they hit the floor. You guys will be used for payments before Bitcoin. Okay, just think about that for a second. Wow, Bitcoin Cash is already being used as a settlement layer for goods and services. You get that narrative. You guys.
Yeah, I'm naked. I'm full naked.
Yeah, I'm naked too. Everyone's naked. Kenton should be naked as well.
Yeah, I agree, Eric. So merchant adoption, POS systems, this is integral to the Bitcoin Cash mission of onboarding the whole world. And people already use BCH and MUSD for point-to-point selling stuff. We have so many people texting us from Nigeria, from Southeast Asia. They're just buying stuff with MUSD and with on the Bitcoin Cash layer. So, and this the next level. So yeah, let's work.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what? What you just said, it's basically what we have been researching, because the 5 places or the 5 countries where we're gonna put the most efforts at the beginning is going to be Mexico, because Mocha is Mexican, the US, because the US is the powerhouse of payments and the huge economy. The third one is going to be Nigeria. The fourth one is going to be the Philippines, both because of their crypto presence, their sheer amount of people using crypto, the emerging markets that they have in terms of wanting to have other options for against banks, and all of these people getting debanked or unbanked, and how the inflation has been affecting these countries. And the fifth one is going to be Venezuela, because we have a very deep network already there in terms of people using crypto that know about Mocha, and they are basically just waiting for Mocha to drop so they can move from the system that they're using right now to use Mocha. So yeah, I completely agree. Nigeria and Southeast Asia are probably the top markets right now to tackle crypto payments. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, on that, I recommend there's Nurain. You can see Nurain_dev in the listeners. If you can find his profile, or just look it up, Nurain_dev. He's very involved in the BCH ecosystem in Nigeria, so he would probably be a great person to talk to if you're trying to launch or do any kind of Bitcoin Cash related product. There, it would be a great guy to get in touch with.
Yeah, also Dr. Flex, he's in the room here, I see.
Yes.
Also a great guy.
Yeah, that's great. One thing we should do a call to action here too. If any teams out there, guys, reach out to Mark, please. Rujira, like Pragmatic Monkey's another one. They are talking with so many teams right now. There is so much going on. Just make a dialogue, establish a relationship now, because the things that we're building is truly revolutionary. And I'm not overhyping it. I swear. I know it sounds crazy, but this is one of those moments where it's just like, okay, like we figured out how to do this. So let's do it. Let's go. Any teams, if you have something you like on BCH or whatever, just tell them to reach out. Get that dialogue started. Let's go, you guys. I am super, super pumped up. Super pumped up.
Yeah, connect.
Yeah, that's also why I wanted to talk about the Launchpad, because we are right now in full on builder mode. We want to attract all the different builders with great ideas where they can use BCH and all the other assets, native assets with native rails. So yeah, my DM is open. PM or Pragmatic Monkey is also there, but feel free to reach out to me, and yeah, I always promise to get back to you. Might not be getting back to you right away, but I'll get there. I'll get through the list. I always do.
Yeah, same here. Same here. My DMs are open, and also my Telegram, my handle is just Halvor. So DM me.
Awesome. And you know what? Shame on me. I'm just now seeing a question in our little Telegram group here. Someone asked if THORChain is atomic swaps. Just real quick, it is not atomic. Actually, atomic swaps, kind of the reason why THORChain exists somewhat, not only because of centralized exchange. The problem with atomic swaps is you have to find someone who's willing to buy or sell, who wants to settle with you at the same price. It's a nightmare. It doesn't work. It doesn't scale. THORChain is peer-to-pool. So you trade with a pool, and the pool is constantly arbitraged against the wider market or whatever, right? Every block. So you change. That's why you can just swap right away. It's not atomic swap. It's a peer-to-pool.
Yes, AMM and limit orders are coming out soon too, so yes. which will increase, artificially increase the depth of the pool as well.
Pretty wild stuff. I don't know if anyone has any questions. Is there anything on the BCH side that we need to know? I'm just hungry for information at this point. Or if we missed anything, or if you want to clarify anything. Super sick space. This is probably one of the bullish spaces I've been in this entire year. If
that's fucking awesome.
You know what I'm saying? If people are listening to this live or the recording, if you still have clothes on, you're doing it wrong. I'm telling you. Okay,
Drop them.
You drop that right now. I don't care if you're driving. I don't care if you're with loved ones. Drop them. That's what's going on. We win. That's what it's all about.
If I give you guys something else to get more horny about, like what's cool with THORChain is, like, I'm looking at the Bitcoin cash flow right now. It's about $3 million. Like, you can do a $3 million trade with like nil slippage, and for like 10 basis points.
That's so
like
sick.
You can, and I mean the trade would probably take about a few hours, 24 hours, something like that. Like it's basically a giant TWAP. And but the point I'm trying to make is the way THORChain, the swaps on THORChain work, the streaming swaps, is you can place like very large size trades relative to the pool size with minimal slippage. And then we have an update coming out called Rapid Swaps, which could make those swaps settle even faster than a few hours. So in theory, it can settle in a few seconds. But the idea is, if somebody's trying to, let's just say that somebody's trying to buy $1 million of BCH. They're selling $1 million of Tether to buy $1 million worth of BCH, and there's somebody else trying to sell $1 million of BCH to buy $1 million of Tether. Right now, the way it works on THORChain, those two trades would happen independently of each other, and they would, take like an hour or 2 or 5, however long it takes, and settle independently. An update is going to come through called Rapid Swaps, which would basically cross those trades, and they would settle instantly, like with one block, like a few seconds. So, and then limit orders are going to come out, which will like artificially increase the depth of the pool. So, what I'm getting at, trying to say is like you can trade in size on THORChain. Like, it regularly does multi-million dollar size trades for several basis points. So sky's the limit on THORChain in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
Right.
just real quick, on since you asked about kind of updates, what's happening. We are creating something called the Deep Mint, Moria Deep Mint, enabling MUSD loans of unlimited size. Right now, it's capped at 32,000 MUSD per transaction of minting. We're launching that on Cauldron. We are pushing out new stuff every week. So yeah, for anyone new to Bitcoin Cash, I can really recommend the book Hijacking Bitcoin. For people that was not around during the block size wars, this is really good and deep knowledge. And many people they hate on the book, but they never say it's not true.
Can we actually go into that a little bit?
Yeah.
I know enough Bitcoin maxis, and I've heard this small block argument and this that, but I honestly don't know many Bitcoin Cash people who are at least deep in the weeds like you guys. Like, how is it in the whole? And correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm remembering wrong, but the idea was they want to keep 4 megabyte small blocks on Bitcoin so that there can be more nodes, more decentralization. How has it worked out with Bitcoin Cash with the bigger blocks and the size of the nodes in decentralization? Is it still growing? Is it like, I think a Bitcoin full node is close to a terabyte? Like, how big is a Bitcoin Cash full node? Can you, like, how has it been going? Can you fill me in?
Yeah, I've got quite a lot to say on this topic. Of course, the real problem with discussing this topic is there's a lot of subtle overlapping nuanced things. All right, so I'm going to try and bang through them all one by one, but hopefully this explanation will make sense. So the first thing is, like your question at the end there, a BTC node is about 1 terabyte worth of storage. A BCH node is much smaller. A BCH node is like, I think only, 400 or 500 gigabytes. And the reason is because between 2017 and now, BTC has had way more traffic than BCH. So BCH has a larger block size, but has had lower average amounts of traffic because it's a smaller network, right? So we have like higher capacity, but lower throughput in practice so far. Of course, the aim is to change that by building better technology, growing the community, et cetera, et cetera. So it will eventually be larger, but for right now, ironically, a BCH node is much easier to run than a BTC node in terms of storage. Second is, you mentioned about the 4 megabyte blocks. Now, a lot of things on BTC are basically just propaganda and scams or like half truths, which is part of the point of hijacking Bitcoin. If you read that, it records a lot of the bullshit that went on back then, but they still do it now. So the 4 megabyte blocks on BTC is kind of a lie. Like, they say that to say, oh, we really raised the block size in the end, when they didn't, they introduced a new thing called the block weight limit, which if you look on the explorers like mempool.space, you can see that most of the blocks will actually cap out at about 2 or 2.1, I think it is, megabytes, which is how much like regular transactions you can fit in. You can only get up to 4 megabytes by exploiting the inscriptions taproot bug, which of course Udi Wertheimer like famously did that 4 megabyte block, and then it created ordinals and inscriptions and all this stuff, right? But until that point, I think the maximum block had been like 2.1 megabytes. So they give you these kind of propaganda numbers that they have 4 megabyte blocks, which is true. You can have 4 megabytes, but you can't have 4 megabytes of actual peer-to-peer cash transactions, which even a lot of BTC people don't know or understand that distinction, because just like so many other things, they've been lied to and propagandized about it in the first place. So you've definitely got to be aware of that.
Yeah, and even if their goal was not to derail Bitcoin, I mean, just look at it. During the Bitcoin halving last year, I wanted to prove a little point to some of my Bitcoin maxi people living in Norway, because a guy, a very good friend of mine who I introduced to Bitcoin, who is now a very popular maxi influencer, he created a very cool Bitcoin maxi festival in my actual tiny hometown of 5,000 inhabitants. And we had this maxi party, and to show how incredibly inefficient BTC transactions was, I created a honey selling stand. And I accepted only BTC on L1, of course. And I sold incredibly good Norwegian honey created locally, and I sold it for 0.0008 BTC. That's like $50. It's very good honey. And I only accepted BTC and only on L1. And at that point, transaction fees was $348 because it was during the halving. And people came up to me, and I was there with Dagger, and Magnus Jones was there, and Maurice Scherstad was there. And people came up to me so happy to buy this honey, and I really sold it. It was a true, honest transaction. And they came up to me and was like, yeah, I want to buy a glass of honey. And I said, yeah, great. It's 0.008 BTC. That's 3 zeros after the comma. And I only accept BTC, of course, on L1, baby. And when I showed them the total cost of the transaction, it was like more than $400, where 350 of the dollars were just transaction fee. They were like, no, I could just send you money. Can't I just send you Bitcoin here? And they showed me their Coinbase account. And at that point, I understood that these super avid Bitcoin maxis, most of them have never done an on-chain transaction in their life. And then I chuckled and I cried a bit inside of me. And it's like the highest voices and the most notable voices, they've never done a transaction in their life. So yeah.
Yeah, and one thing I just want to also get on, with the nodes as well, just to finish off that point, is so in a similar way that BCH has a smaller block size than BTC, it also has less nodes, even though it's lower requirements to run. Again, because it's just a small community. Obviously, the bigger community, the more nodes you'll run. But this kind of, yet again, another complete like scam and lie, basically, by the BTC community, where they say, well, you can't increase the block size because then you'll centralize the nodes, because then the storage requirements will get too big for anyone to run at home. And the first thing is that obviously technology gets better over time, and the block size that was the right thing in 2010 is obviously not the same that's feasible today in 2025. That's like incredibly obvious. But the second thing that they don't really know is that Bitcoin was actually never built to store all of your transactions for all of eternity. You can literally go to the Bitcoin white paper, and section 7 is called Reclaiming Disk Space, about running pruned nodes and throwing out transactions that have the UTXO has already been spent, following times. So now that information is no longer relevant. Bitcoin was actually built from day one to not store the entire history of transactions ever. Obviously, you can do that, and some people will still do that because they want to do blockchain statistical analysis or something like that. But in terms of actually running a P2P cash network, you can just prune almost all of the older coins. And so then every time somebody is making a transaction, they are adding new UTXOs to the recipient, but they're also destroying their old UTXOs. So then what they say is like, oh, well, if you are throwing out all of the old data, how would you be able to sync a new node? And the answer is something which, again, has been discussed on Bitcoin forums since at least 2012, possibly earlier, called UTXO commitments, where if you take a hash of the UTXO set and you put it in the Coinbase that every miner mines with each block, or maybe you do it every 10 blocks or every 100 blocks or every 1,000 blocks, then you have a checkpoint at which you can seed, you can get, the UTXO dump from that height, and then your node is already synced and online, and then you can work backwards. You don't have to start at block 1 and then sync up to block 800,000, which also is a huge pain in the ass, because then everyone's like, oh, it took my node all this time to sync up. No, if you could start at block 800,000 and then while the network is running, your node is just backwards checking to make sure it hadn't been lied to at the same time. So this is stuff that the BCH community is still, investigating and researching, that the BTC guys, they know nothing. If you bring any of this up, they will instantly not be able to have no response because they don't know about it at all.
And you can just look at ownership also. I mean, just real quick for the people that are scared when they hear the word propaganda, you can just look at who owns these companies. I mean, who owns Blockstream? Adam Back raised $500 million during the block size wars from investors, and mostly from Digital Currency Group, who is owned by MasterCard. So ever since the block size wars, every single BTC Core dev have drawn their salary from MasterCard, which is weird, right? No wonder why BTC doesn't outcompete MasterCard. It's their fucking salary source. Yeah.
It's interesting what you said about downloading a full node. Like, it took me about 8 days to get my node up to sync when I got, I did it 6 months ago, a year ago now. I didn't know that about the white paper. I want to reread that now, because you bring up an interesting point. Because if these prune nodes that you're talking about, wouldn't that be a way to introduce privacy on Bitcoin?
Yes and no. So, I mean, I've just got to shout out myself here, but it's the right thing. BitcoinCashPodcast.com/FAQs. And if you go there, I've written up a huge amount of articles. I don't know how many there's, probably 50 articles here. And there's a section called Bitcoin Cash versus Bitcoin Core. And it has all this stuff that I've said. If you read this, you'll be like, I've got all the propaganda documented. I've got all the common questions that people don't understand. What happened? What's the difference between BTC, BCH, etc. All of that. But when it comes to the privacy stuff, in theory, yes, pruning would actually help with the privacy if everybody did it, because everybody would be deleting those old records. Now, of course, you can't rely on that, because if the government or somebody is going to try and surveil you, they are going to run a full node that they track everything and they keep those older records. So it's not like a great thing to rely on, but it is true that in theory, the BCH privacy will be much better than BTC, just because the biggest part of privacy is the size of the anonymity set, right? Like, if BTC only has 1 megabyte of transactions per 10 minutes, and let's say in the future BCH has 10 megabytes or 100 megabytes, then it's much easier to hide in a crowd, right? If the crowd is 10 or 100 times larger. So BCH has a natural privacy advantage even before we get to the fact that we have the better mixing services, and we now have the scripting capability to build the better cryptographic hiding services as well too.
So sorry, I missed that. Did you say BCH is adopting pruned nodes, or already has?
Well, it's a bit of a yes and no kind of thing. So I mean, the UTXO commitments that I was talking about, that's been discussed as one of the potential upgrades. It's not ready for this year, and maybe or maybe not will be ready for next year, but I would say it's probably on the quote unquote roadmap. There's no actual roadmap, it's decentralized, but there's research efforts that I think by 2028 we should probably have that. That's actually a little slow, and the reason it's slow is because the need is lower. Like I said, the BCH traction has been less, so spinning up a BCH node is already kind of fast. So of course we're focused on more immediate problems than that right now. But you can already run Verde nodes. Like one of the BCH node implementations already has a non-consensus version that they built that as far as I know, it's still working. You can try it out. And then hopefully, we'll expand that into consensus and then put it in all the node implementations.
Cool, thank you.
I do have a question, and I don't want to turn this into a maxis versus maxis, etc.
Go for it, man. No big deal.
Nice, yeah. So correct me if I'm wrong, but with the core 30 potentiality of happening in a couple of months, it seems that Bitcoin wants, or at least a part of the Bitcoin community wants to go the same route that BCH went more than 10 years ago. So would it be some sort of signaling that BCH is going on the right track, that Bitcoin wants to go that route?
Yes. So if you're interested in this, again, in my FAQs, and I have a Twitter thread, actually, I'll find it in a minute. BTC is basically reinventing slowly all the things that BCH has already done. Because the BTC community got filled up with all this propaganda and lies, as well as having their development stalled, they basically have got kind of nowhere. They've got a long way with a lot of things, but not with protocol development in the last decade. So BCH, I have a whole thread of examples of people in BTC saying, hey, we need this, hey, we need that, hey, we need that. And every single time it's like something that BCH has already shipped like years and years and years ago. So you can look up, in the FAQs, it's called Why Does BCH Already Have What BTC Wants? And I have a bunch of examples of this kind of thing. And I also have an episode, you might like to listen to the podcast episode 151, which was called Bitcoin Mechanic and the Architects of Spam. It was in May, and I did a full breakdown of all his confusion about the filter issue. And he has, of course, he's been trying to battle against them merging that change in, and I successfully predicted that they would do it anyway. And all the kind of various bits of propaganda that he is trying to unwind in his own mind. But the Bitcoin core guys are just, of course, overriding him and merging all this stuff, which for some Bitcoin people is very surprising, but it shouldn't be. And I predicted it, all that. I predicted it all years ago, and I break it all down in that episode. So you can listen to that if you're interested. I'll send you a DM with the specific episode.
Nice. Well,
several months ago, didn't Andreas Antonopoulos say something about maybe it's time to increase the Bitcoin block size? I know he's not a maxi. But...
I mean, Andreas is an interesting case, right? Because when he was smart enough at the time. Okay, this is speculative on my part, but I was, of course, observing all this at the time. Andreas is smart enough to know that BTC was being captured, and he knew that the technical arguments against raising the block size were complete bullshit, but he supported the BTC side in a kind of very weak-handed way at the time. Now, at the time, he was probably the most prominent and known and beloved community figure, and it was relatively shortly after that he sort of took himself out of the discussion and he faded out from being a huge public advocate for BTC. I would not be surprised, it's completely speculation on my part, that he received pressure from somewhere to cut down on his Bitcoin activism and potentially to not support the big block side because he was in such a prominent position, and his behavior in that time was quite
weird.
Yes.
Yeah, it was weird. I agree. I mean, this goes for all the people that have been so ingrained and so deep down in Bitcoin for now basically 10 years. It is a question of, when it comes to the hijacking question, are they stupid or are they pretending to be stupid? It is one of the two, because you cannot have not been aware of this when you've been in here for so long. So yeah, I agree, and then this goes for so many people.
Or is it, or they just, or is it, in my mind, they're misguided. Like they're bending the knee to fiat,
Yeah,
right? It's like Frodo carrying the ring to Mordor. Like, even when Frodo finally got there, he wanted to keep the
yeah,
ring. He couldn't
yeah,
throw it in and it's like, it's such the power and the money.
yeah,
Like look at like Max Kaiser. Like he's absolutely lost his mind. Like
yeah. It's lost its
being a
mind.
billionaire has turned him into a nut job.
Yeah, I
And
mean, yeah, I agree. It's like politicians also. When they are young, they have the fire inside of them, and they are idealistic, and they have their own beliefs. And then the higher they go, the less opinions they have, and the more stuff they agree to, and they get in line to the party, and bada bim bada boom, they are in Davos and in Brussels and in the, like, yeah, you know this. So yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
But I mean, it's a combination of things. That's also why it's quite a hard story to explain to people, because while there is clearly elements of sabotage and meddling, you only need a small amount of bad actors to create a huge problem. Because if you have a couple of people who are bad actors, then they can create, uncertainty, they can create FUD, maybe they just tip the scales at the margins. And then you have a lot of naive people who believe the propaganda. It's exactly like the Matrix. It's so funny that the Matrix is this big Bitcoin movie that everybody's, especially those BTC maxis, they love the Matrix, but they are actually the plugged in ones who believe they've already escaped, and it's like that. A lot of the people who are shilling BTC or who are big fans of it, they are not necessarily, bad people. In fact, 99% of them are not, but they just have very poor information, and they have some elements of reality are backing up their story. Like they all got rich because the price went up. So that convinced them that they were right rather than that they were wrong. It's like they sold the dream and then the price went up and they thought, oh, okay, maybe we were right the whole time, but they just really got comfortable and lazy. And
Yeah, it's like politicians bending the knee brought them the success that made them. So they kind of their own neural network inside their brain actually tell them that this was right, and then just the moral fuse and it overshadows what's right or wrong and actual truth. So yeah, I 100% support that.
and the crowd, people are often so willing to follow the crowd, again, which is ironic because BTC originally was this contrarian anti-authority movement, but of course the propaganda was effective enough that most people just follow and even today there are a number of people that are known to be like, they've kind of seen the writing on the wall. They know BTC fucked up, they know BCH made the right choices in terms of upgrade and retaining the mission, and yet are they willing to come out and speak on that behalf? No, they're too cowardly. They would just, they built their platform, they built their audience or their reputation on the side that they picked, and switching sides, while it would be more honorable and truthful, is not going to benefit them from a social reputation. Of course, it's a snowball. Once a couple of people start to or feel safe enough to do that, then everybody will, it's the same as any of these hoaxes. Whenever they come apart, everybody, quote unquote, knows after it's already over, right? Beforehand, there's a couple of people who are quote unquote crazy, and then 2 weeks later, oh, everybody knows I was never on the wrong side. That same thing is going to happen with Bitcoin, basically.
Yeah, they have seen the writing on the wall. They've seen the writing on the Eric wall. Okay, guys, I gotta leave. Thank you so much for this space, everyone. Mark, Kenton, Patriot, Wagme people, also Eric. Thank you so much, Jeremy, Fiendish. Let's speak again soon. I'm so happy for this conversation. Let's fucking go.
Let's fucking go. And I'm gonna do my best to make it to Singapore. I don't know if I can make it. I gotta take care. I've got some family stuff I gotta do. I'm a caretaker, so that's that. I'm gonna do my best to make it there. Love to meet you, man. Hell yeah, great conversation, dude. We really brought down the house today. I think anyone who listens to this can agree. Seriously bullish vibes going on in here. Amazing.
All right, thanks guys. We had loads to follow up there. I've made some notes, so yeah, we'll be in touch about all those different potential collaborations. There's at least like 4 or 5 things suggested, so I'll be following those up. All right, thanks everyone for listening.
Later, brother. Well, I guess we're losing our BCH friend, so now it's just kind of THORChain. Wagner, I don't know if the host is, if you're still there. I know you said you might pop away. I can spare a little bit more time if someone has any questions they want to address on the THORChain side. I don't know if Eric or Kenton want to stick around. I can do my best to answer the Rujira side. I am decently knowledgeable about it, but Mark's really the expert here. So I don't know if the Wagner host is there to accept people to come up, but I will offer that out to the audience if anyone has any questions or anything like that.
I say we open up for questions, and maybe, if not, when we start wrapping it up, because people keep getting mad at us for how long these go.
Yeah, I know, but it's so. I mean, how can you cover that any more efficiently? I mean, there's so many freaking things to talk about, and honestly, I thought that vibed really well. That was a real frenetic conversation. There was very little. The signal was absolutely massive. The noise was pretty paltry, I thought.
Yeah, well, when you have like 6 intelligent, passionate people chatting, I mean, we could talk for hours, right? I honestly, I can't believe it's been 2 hours. It's it's kind of flown by for me. It's been interesting. So, yeah, I think it's a shame to cap us, right? To put a lid on us.
Yeah.
We should all be, yeah.
If the vibe is going, keep going. If people got the energy, great. The moment it gets stale, just end it right away, and just that's what you do. I think that's the optimal way to do it, Hey, the host,
Mark,
Wagner,
or Mark's a co-host. He should be able to see if anyone's requesting.
Oh, he's a listener for me right now.
I see him as co-host.
Oh, okay.
Mark, are you there? Mark from Denmark? Is it just me and you left, Patriot?
You know what? We may be in Eric, I think.
Yeah, I see him as listener as well. Might be glitching on either side.
So Nate, Wagme, are you there?
Well, I think we are alone up on stage, and we do not have the ability to accept speakers. This is an interesting conundrum we have here.
It is interesting.
It is interesting. Well, guys,
are we going to be stuck in the space for the next 24 hours to figure out what to do?
Yeah, exactly. Well, guys, hey, you know what? I'm going to take this opportunity here. There is an account, Rune Bond, in the listener. Okay, this Rune Bond is a great spot for you guys to, if anyone's interested in holding Rune and bonding it. The minimum, generally speaking, is 1,000 Rune. When you bond your Rune to a node, the node operator does not have control of your Rune at all. You earn Rune on your Rune. You can add your Rune at any time. You can only withdraw it from the module though when you churn out. Turns happen every 3 days. It is good to have a relationship with your node operator, which leads me to my main man, Kenton, the legend up on stage here. He is a node operator. He can speak for himself, but just so you guys know, I also bond with him. He is an absolute rock star, shares the ethos that we talked about today. His minimum is 10,000 Rune. So, you got to be, he's a busy guy, so he can only accept kind of serious people. But if you do not have that, no worries. Follow the Rune Bond account in the audience. It is the little black dot with the little green signal THORChain logo on there. Kenton, if you want to say anything else about that.
No, it's great. Thank you. Thank you for the shout out and the I'm brain farting on the word, but yeah, thanks for your support. Yeah, anybody who wants to bond their Rune to a node, reach out to me, just DM me, and I'll give you some more details. Yeah, bonding your Rune is a way to earn some yield. You help secure the network, and you become an agent in your own success. Right? The more Rune bonded, the more nodes we have, the more secure the network, and the bigger it can grow. So while it really does behoove you to bond your Rune rather than just sit there and hold it. Your risk is just liquidity. Your Rune can be stuck in a node for a minimum 3 days, because there's a churn every 3 days. So nodes come and go every 3 days. But sometimes the churns are halted, and nodes can't churn out for maybe a few weeks. And then so everybody's rune who's on nodes, they're stuck in the network. And so you just can't withdraw it. You can't get it off until churns are re-enabled. So you can't sell. And why would that happen? If there's like like an update needs to go through, like a security patch, and the devs are just kind of worried that if we do a churn, they can introduce a vulnerability or something like that. So it's just safer not to churn, wait for this patch, this updated code to be written, get that updated on the network, and then re-enable churns. That's really your main risk with bonding. Other than that, it's pretty simple. It's pretty easy. Just set and forget. So if you're just sitting there holding Rune in a wallet, or especially on a centralized exchange, just get it off and put it in a node and just earn a few percent. It's kind of a no-brainer once you walk through it and think about it. And I've dealt with a lot of people new to bonding their Rune, and they at first they're hesitant, they're shy, and they don't, they're a bit scared and whatnot. But then after a month or two, they're like, okay, this is so super easy. So don't be intimidated. Super simple. It's just different, something new, but it's definitely, it's very palatable. Everyone can do it.
Yeah, it's super easy, guys. You go to Rune Bond, you just find a node. They all have their own features and parameters on the node. It's really good to have a relationship. Like if you were talking to Kenton, he can talk to you and just, you can ask whatever question you want. That's really great. So you just understand, because every node has a little nuance of how they do it. Some churn out regularly, like every 30 days. Some want to stay in maximal amount of time. Some require a minimum amount of Rune for you to hold, for you to request in order to churn out. If you were like a mega whale and you have 250,000 Rune, that's a lot of money. But just hypothetically, you could actually signal to churn out yourself, which is pretty cool. So yeah, you guys go to Rune Bond, you find your node, you just whitelist your address. You can do multiple nodes. It's not a big deal, and you can do it that way. The yield's like, I don't know, 5-6% or something. I don't know. But look at what's happening, guys, with Rujira. If you look up top, the incredible growth of the app layer, all the things that are coming, the swap volume. Mocha hasn't even started yet. Payments, real payments. There are so many incredible bullish things to get. So I recommend people just get their Rune in now, get churned in, get used to it, figure it out if you want to do that. But please do your research. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to tag me. I'm sure Kenton wouldn't mind answering questions. We just want to get Rune off a centralized exchange. Just get it off a centralized exchange. First step, so that they can't use it to manipulate the price, right? Just like your BCH, your guys' little thing, what you do when you do a mass exodus, which is legendary, by the way. I think we should try, and that'd be funny if we did something like that, Kenton. I love that. I was smiling like an idiot the whole time you guys were explaining that. But yeah, guys, so please follow the Rune Bond account. Please follow Eric. There's no way we can answer questions, I don't think. I can try and look at the comments section real quick and see.
Where did Nate go? Did he with Wigme? Did he disappear on us?
I think he might be I don't know. I asked him in the Telegram. I was like, hey, are you there? I think he said he was going to step away for a second and let the conversation go in. Hopefully, I don't know if he's like where he didn't fall asleep or something. So we might just end up having to leave and then just have a empty and quiet stage. Unless you want to like stay, Eric, and sing or something. I don't know. But, I don't know.
It's
said
weird you
ahead.
can't really control when the space is gonna end, and I mean we can just go start like playing poker and maybe see what happens, but we can't really leave the space like this. But on the other hand, like where's WACME?
Right.
I see in the group chat on Twitter, he said it's getting late for him. Go as late as you want. I don't know what that means.
It might mean he's asleep. He's snoring right now. That's what it could mean.
Yeah, and then Mark from Denmark could have been able to stop the space because he was a co-host, but he went down, so now nobody's able to end the space.
I would hate to leave dead space on such a wonderful space. But I do have to leave soon because one of my parents did get back in town. They've been gone for a week and a half, and they want to see me. And I said, okay, I'll come on over. But yes,
I think I have him on Telegram. I'm gonna try to. Yes.
Because if we all leave and he keeps this going, it's going to end up being like 10 hours long, and no one's going to listen because they're going to see a 10-hour space.
Yeah.
Maybe,
yeah. Yeah. That's well, we can do what we can do, right? So if anyone knows of the host, you want to message him, or if you know his phone number or something, I don't know. It is what it is. Oh well, we had a banger space though. We which is recorded. We can download the MP3 file and modify it if it's like a 12-hour space or whatever. But yeah, what are you gonna do?
All right. Well, maybe should we wrap it up?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's time to wrap up.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening. Nice. It's actually, I enjoyed chatting with the BCH guys. It'd be cool if they bring some more people on. We can arrange some more of them to join us on September 6th. Get that podcast going.
100%. And yeah, I think they were great, man. They share our ethos. This was a banger space, dude. I loved every minute of it.
Maybe by then, maybe they made some progress on the MUSD pool. That'd be cool. And maybe it's live by then, or about to. So that'd be good to talk about.
Yeah, that would be absolutely sick. And if you got a line to like JP or something, I would definitely bug them about it and say, hey, there's something here. Let's get that. If we can do it quickly, let's get it done. I mean, they're hungry for it, and anything that pushes the needle, bro.
Yeah. Alrighty. All right. Well, Patriot, nice chatting with you. Nice chatting with everybody else. Thanks for listening. Sayonara.
Yeah. God bless, buddy. Eric, thank you for coming up on short-term notice. Thank you, guys. Hope everyone has a great rest of your weekend or Monday if you're on the other side of the world. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
See you guys. Have a good one. See you next weekend for the THORChain Spaces on Saturday.